Hi, my name is Jeongeun Kim. I'm from Fulton Teachers College. Today I'll present my research under the title, What Takes to Be a Best College? The Impact of Rankings on Colleges and Universities. If you were asked to describe the quality of a college or university, how would you explain it? While there is no clear definition of quality, people refer to various dimensions of what composes of a university. Some will explain characteristics of students, some will focus on that of faculty and curriculum, while others might illustrate the campus facilities and amenities. To many of you, one thing that quickly comes to your mind and can be simply referred to might be college rankings. In fact, many universities refer to college rankings in their promotional efforts to indicate the quality of their respective institutions. Moreover, schools find ways to best position themselves. For example, a school might say number 10 among public institutions instead of saying top 120 in the country. Furthermore, now that there are various ranking systems ranging from the academic rankings from multiple news magazines to even party school rankings, schools will find some dimension in some ranking to make them number one. College rankings was started in 1970s by academics from an interest of capturing the prestige of institutions based on different measures. Then in 1980s, rankings based on commercial interest were produced by media companies. The media rankings argue that they provide an ideal starting point for students and families comparing colleges and offer an opportunity to judge the relative quality of the educational experience at schools based on widely accepted indicators of excellence. The first and most influential one of its kind is the U.S. News and World Report's America's Best Colleges rankings. Based on the success of the first two trial editions, the news company started publishing annual rankings of the U.S. undergraduate programs since 1987. The practice has been spread to other countries, and 2003 and 2004 marked the years that global rankings that compare institutions of higher education across the world emerged. In this presentation, I will focus on the rankings in the U.S. higher education system, particularly the U.S. News and World Report rankings. Rankings are a unique system of evaluating organizations and presenting the information. First, rankings summarize complex information to a simple format that is a numerical order and grouping. Comparing a set of schools based on their mission, rankings first designate top schools among research universities and liberal arts colleges by assigning a number to each institution. Then, the remaining schools are categorized into tiers, where institutions are listed in an alphabetical order. Previous studies found that an institution's numerical position changes only within the range of ±4, and the movement across the tier groups rarely occurs. Furthermore, number of numerical ranking positions has expanded over time from only top 10 to 25 to 50 and to 120. And now about 200 research universities and liberal arts colleges, respectively, are ranked at specific numerical positions. The minor movement in the rankings, as well as these modifications in the methods, have been criticized as a marketing ploy of ranking producers to maintain popularity and sales of the rankings. The other feature of ranking system is that rankings are generated based on a set of measurements that are weighted differently. Historically, the most impactful measure was academic reputation based on the survey of college presidents, provosts, deans of admissions, and high school counselors. Student selectivity is measured by acceptance rates, freshman students' high school rank percentile, and ACT/SAT scores. Faculty resources include measures of class size, faculty salary, proportion of faculty with terminal degree, proportion of full-time faculty, and student-faculty ratio. Financial resources refer to the total expenditure spent on instruction, research, student services, and any other education-related activities. Over time, the rankings increased emphasis on outcome measures by adding alumni donation, graduation rate performance in addition to the previously existing graduation and retention rates. The graduation rate performance measure compares the expected graduation rates given an institution's characteristics and actual graduation rate outcome of the respective institution. Again, while quality is not clearly defined in higher education, those measures are often criticized as only loosely related to educational quality, particularly what students experience and learn while they are enrolled in a particular college or university. Now, after reviewing the ranking methodology, what do you think about the attention that is given to rankings? If you are a president, provost, or dean of a school, how would you consider rankings in the management of your school or your unit? In fact, arguing that there is only a loose connection between ranking measures and educational quality, a group of presidents at liberal arts colleges in 2007 refused to fill out the U.S. News Rankings reputational survey and suggest to decline using the rankings in any promotional efforts at their institutions. Was the attempt successful? Well, I would say it was not. Although 12 presidents signed the letter at the time, followed by more presidents later, the response rate of the reputational survey of the U.S. News Rankings was only declined by 5% in the following year. So why do rankings matter for colleges and universities? Previous research provides explanations for the motivation of the institutions reacting to college rankings. An institution's ranking position impacts the school's major resources. A higher ranking position results in a better admissions outcomes, such as more applications, higher matriculation rates, and more selective students. It also increases supports from government, industry, foundations, and alumni via public fiscal support, research funding, and private donations. An institution's current ranking position is a significant predictor for the future reputation of that institution. These factors not only compose of critical resources of an institution, but also measurements in the rankings. Therefore, top managers at institutions feel pressure that not playing the game hurts their schools, and engaging in what rankings measure is doing what's best for their school, since rankings have important effects. Some schools even engaging in clear unethical behaviors, such as fabricating data. In addition, some institutions cut corners through creative reporting methods. For example, some professional schools were found to hire their own graduates till the reporting cycle to improve their graduate student placement outcomes. Some law schools reclassify a portion of admitted students as part-time or probationary to exclude their scores from median LSAT score calculation. Schools also reduce the size of incoming classes by admitting fewer students into the full-time program and more students into the part-time program to improve both their median LSAT score and the student-faculty ratio. Also, a controversial case comes from Baylor University in 2008. The university paid admitted freshmen to retake the SAT and offered $1,000 a year merit aid to students whose score improved by 50 points. Later, the university explained that this was to give out more additional merit-based aid, and that ranking was a factor but not the driver of this policy. While these cases highlight some unique cases of institutions being reactive to the quantified measures and publication of the results in a rank order, there has been limited research on investigating the effect of a ranking system on the key practices at higher education institutions. In a series of studies, I examined how the system of rankings affect institutions' admission behaviors, resource allocation, as well as tuition and fee and student composition. If we consider the key mission of higher education institutions as a public good is to provide education, to promote access, and to support students, the increase in cost or alteration of resources from these activities to other activities might raise important questions to the ethical management of higher education institutions. In this project, I analyzed two datasets, the Higher Education General Information Survey and the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System from 1980 to 2011 in order to estimate the effect of U.S. news rankings on higher education institutions, particularly research universities and liberal arts colleges. The study found that numerical rankings result in changes in admissions behavior, particularly institution scholarship behaviors. Overall, colleges and universities will spend more on institutional fellowships, mostly by providing merit-based scholarships to more students, while there is no change in need-based scholarships, both in terms of the share of students who received it or the average amount awarded. The size of the increase was bigger among the institutions who are aspired to move to the next level, meaning that institutions that are just below the top 25, 50, or 120 spent more funding on the fellowships compared to other institutions. Schools that observed a decrease in ranking also increased institutional fellowship in the following year compared to the other schools that maintained their previous year's ranking positions. Next study focused on how rankings affect expenditure of colleges and universities on different activities. While the education-related expenses take 10% of the total ranking scores and is one of the measures that institutions can directly manipulate, we can hypothesize that institutions will expand their spending on related activities. The results supported this hypothesis. Rankings encouraged institutions to increase expenditure. Particularly among the research universities, expenditure on instruction was increased by 7%. And this might be attributable for the increase in faculty salary or institutions' efforts to reduce the class sizes. Meanwhile, liberal arts colleges significantly increased expenditure on support services, such as student services and academic services, which accompanied an expansion of administration. Also, liberal arts colleges increased expenditure on facilities and amenities by 5%. Finally, my recent study, supported by the Lincoln Center, investigated how rankings affect pricing behavior of different types of universities and subsequently student compositions on these campuses. First, ranking system makes institutions to implement a high price, high discount pricing behavior. Basically, universities will charge bigger amount for the tuition and fees, then provide more institutional scholarships to students. This trend was more prominent among the public research universities rather than private research universities and liberal arts colleges. The study also found that the pursuit of higher ranking resulted in a decrease in the proportion of low-income students who receive federal Pell Grant and an increase in part-time students. Although the data was limited to further unpack the reasons behind those changes in student composition, these behaviors might be related to the gaming of institutions in reporting standardized test scores or strategies to increase revenue from tuition and fees. To summarize, rankings do affect institutions' major practices, and some of them might have critical ramifications to the key values of higher education. Yet, rankings seem to be very popular, and the system might be here to stay. If so, how can we improve the ranking practice? While there is no clear answer to this question, I will share some suggestions based on this project as I conclude this presentation. One of the major concerns about the ranking system and institutional behavior is if ranking is serving the original purpose. In another study, my colleague and I found that among the ranking measures, only some financial and faculty resources were related to students' collegiate experiences. If ranking is to provide information about what students experience and learn from the college, there should be a discussion around the current measurements. Many alternative rankings that attempts to examine students' experience data, social contributions that institutions make, and employment outcomes provide good starting points for this conversation. Having multiple ranking systems that focus on one specific dimension rather than aggregating various dimensions into one number can be another way to improve the evaluation system. How to present the result other than a numerical number should be also discussed and tested in the future practices.